Today we're diving into one of the biggest, most important legal questions of our time. Can you train an AI on copyrighted books, music, and art without permission? I mean, this is a fight that's pitting some of the biggest names in tech against the world's most famous creators. And honestly, the outcome is going to shape the future of creativity itself. And when I say fight, I mean it. This isn't just one or two little lawsuits we're talking about here. No, this is a massive, industry-wide storm that could completely reshape both the tech world and the creative industries as we know them. And at the heart of every single one of these cases is this fundamental question about data, creativity, and who owns what in the age of AI. So, who's actually doing the suing? Well, it's a real who's who. We've got literary giants like George R.R. Martin. We have global news powerhouses like the New York Times, the biggest music labels on the entire planet, and major archives like Getty Images. They're all lining up to challenge companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, and Stability AI. This is not a small-time brawl. Okay, so let's get into this great AI lawsuit wave. We're going to look at what the creators are arguing, how the tech innovators are defending themselves, and most importantly, the crucial legal idea that this whole thing hinges on. It really boils down to a fundamental disagreement, right? On one side, you have the creators. They're saying, hey, our work has value. You can't just take it to build your multi-billion-dollar AI models without our consent, without giving us credit, and without paying us. But on the other side, you have the innovators. They argue that scraping public data is what's known as fair use, and that this is absolutely essential for technology to move forward. And that brings us to the legal battlefield itself, fair use. This one single concept from copyright law, this is where the entire war is being fought. Seriously, if you understand fair use, you'll understand this whole conflict. So what in the world is fair use? The best way to think about it is like a safety valve in copyright law. It lets people use copyrighted stuff without getting permission for things like, commentary, news reporting, or research. It's there to stop copyright from accidentally killing the very creativity it's supposed to protect. But the billion-dollar question now is, does training an AI count? So, to figure out if something is fair use, courts use this four-part test. First, they look at the purpose of the new thing. Is it for profit? Does it transform the original into something new? Second, the nature of the original work. Was it super creative or more factual? Third, the amount that was used. Was it just a tiny snippet or did they copy the whole shebang? And finally, we get to the fourth factor, which is often the most important one. And this is the one you really have to watch, the effect on the market. Courts have said over and over again that this is the single most important element. The question is this: does the new AI-generated thing act as a substitute for the original? Does it hurt the original creator's ability to make a living from their work? This, right here, is where the battle gets really, really fierce. Okay, enough theory. Let's see how this test is actually playing out in the real world by looking at some of the most important lawsuits happening right now. We actually got a huge signal from a case that involved an AI for legal research. A judge completely rejected the AI company's fair use defense, basically ruling that its product directly hurt the market for the original data. I mean, this was a massive win for content owners, and it sent a really clear message that courts are going to be looking at that market impact factor very, very closely. And this slide really shows you the different fronts in this war. You've got the New York Times arguing that ChatGPT is a direct market substitute for its journalism. You have the big music labels claiming that AI music generators are being trained on their songs to create competing tracks. And you have Getty Images saying its entire photo library was scraped to train an AI that copies its style. And what's the one thing they all have in common? The defense is always fair use. Now, the music cases are particularly fascinating because a sound recording isn't just text or a picture. It's this complex bundle of different copyrights, all wrapped together. You've got the lyrics, the musical composition, the actual performance, and maybe most personal of all, the unique sound of an artist's voice. This just makes the whole argument over fair use that much more intense. And the plaintiffs in these cases argue this isn't some abstract debate. I mean, listen to this quote from the CEO of the AI music generator Udio. He said, "The goal is to make music that is indistinguishable from the real thing." To the music industry, that doesn't sound very transformative. It sounds a lot like a direct market replacement. And this idea of market harm, it's not just a theory. There was an AI-generated song that perfectly mimicked the voices of Drake and The Weeknd. It went viral, got millions of streams, and earned thousands in royalties before it was finally taken down. This proved to everyone in a very real way that AI could directly compete for listeners' attention and their money, which is some pretty powerful evidence for that all-important fourth factor. So what's at stake here? I mean, what does this all mean for the future? Well, the outcomes of these lawsuits are going to fundamentally reshape both creative work and artificial intelligence. The precedents they set will probably last for decades. We're basically looking at a fork in the road with two very different futures. In one future, the courts side with the creators. That means AI companies will have to pay to license the data they use, kind of like how radio stations have to license music. Creators get paid, which is great for them, but it could also raise costs and maybe slow down AI innovation. In the other future, the courts side with the innovators. Fair use wins the day, AI development just explodes, but the value of original human creativity could plummet. But, while all the lawyers are battling it out in court, a third path is already starting to emerge. The biggest players aren't just sitting around waiting for a verdict. OpenAI has already signed a huge content deal with News Corp. Universal Music is partnering with AI companies. Reddit is licensing all of its user content for AI training. So it seems like the market might just be creating its own solution. Which really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? This isn't just about law, it's a philosophical debate. As we build these incredible new AI tools, how do we balance the unstoppable price of progress with the timeless value of human creation? It's a huge tension, and right now, there are no easy answers.